Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of Lash Biz Babes. I cannot believe we are recording another year-end wrap-up episode. Can you believe how fast and how slow this year has felt? Yeah, I can't believe we're at the end of 2024. My mind, I feel like I say that often, like, oh, can you believe we're already at whatever month it is? But like, legitimately, I don't know. This year has felt so slow, but it has gone by so fast. And we are coming up on 3 years of Lash Biz Babes. And that is legitimately insane. Like, so freaking cool to be nearly 3 years into having this show and having you here. And it's just really cool. So if this is your first year-end wrap-up episode, here's kind of like what to expect with it. Basically, I take the episode and just try and share as many lessons that I've learned throughout the year as I can, just kind of wrap up the year, some of the different things that I've gone through, some of the stupid mistakes I've made, some of the dumb shit I've gone through, some different wins, some different lessons, what's worked great, what's not worked so great, and hopefully, I think my main goals kind of, at least with this episode, is just make you feel not so alone, because we all go through so many ups and downs, and just, we all go through it sometimes. And I just hope that you will know that you are not alone in that. And it doesn't matter who you are. We're all going through something. And yeah, business can be hard, but it also can be really fun and rewarding and successful and all of the things. So yeah, I just hope you won't feel so alone, that maybe you can relate to some of this and that it can be relevant to you, and sharing some different lessons that I've learned throughout the year. So hopefully you can learn from them too, and get some different insights from that. That's my goal with the wrap-up episodes. And so if it is your first wrap-up episode, welcome, and I'm happy to have you here. And if this is not your first wrap-up episode, you're an OG, I'm happy to have you back. So this year, 2024, I just have to laugh because, like, legitimately, it's been an insane year, and like so many ups and so many downs and so many lessons that I've learned. It's probably been one of the biggest roller coaster years that I've had in quite a while. I got a lot of things that I could say in this episode to kind of try and wrap up this year and, what can we learn from it? And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what you have to do, is like, you don't always get to control what happens around you or what happens to you, but you can control how you react to things, how you respond, how you handle things, how you move forward, how you communicate with people, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, you can control what you can control, and we've just got to be able to, at least that's something I've learned this year, is just really trying to keep that in perspective of like, okay, what can I control? What can't I control? And how can I handle this and keep moving forward? That's always like my goal, is I want to keep progressing. I want to keep working towards things especially as like a business owner, because as you grow your business, you're going through a lot of self-development. As you grow yourself with self-development, your business grows. It's all intertwined into the whole thing. So yeah, really keeping your perspective on what you can and can't control. And that's been a huge lesson for me this year that I guess I will start this wrap-up episode out with, just because that we have gone through a lot. Like I said, lots of ups and downs this year. And I started therapy again this year. I went for the first time the beginning of 2023, literally started going like 2, 3 weeks before I had my third baby, my youngest. And my therapist was like, "Do you think this is a good time to be starting therapy? Do you want to wait?" Like, no, no, I want to get started right now. Let's do it. If I'm gonna do it, let's do it. So I did therapy for the first time at the beginning of 2023, and then I stopped when we moved in April, so did about 4-ish months. And then I didn't go after that because we had moved and switched insurances and, kids and life and living in the camper and all of the things, which if you don't know that story, that's a whole other story with living in the camper for a year and a half. And I'm sure I'll touch on that at some point because that was a huge part of this year too, but I digress. Anyway, I went back to therapy for the first time again this year, and it was literal divine timing. And I think that taught me a lesson in getting the support that you need when you need it, especially if you feel like you're having a hard time or you're struggling. I think therapy is just like a great way to have like an outside perspective. They give you different ways to just cope with different feelings. They give you like different mindset tools, emotional tools, just different ways to handle situations and have a different perspective on things. At least that's been my experience with therapy. And I think it's been really beneficial for me just to kind of work through those feelings and process through things, try and continually heal and progress and like be the best version of myself. That's always one of my big goals is like, I want to be like, I want to break free of this past trauma and these things and this generational trauma and things so I can be better for myself, can be better for my kids, because my ceiling is their ground floor, right? So as far as I get up is where they start at. So I want to try and do my best for them. So I started therapy again this year. When did I start that? Like August or September? I probably should have done it sooner, but life got away from me. Getting the support you need when you need it. And it's okay to ask for help, whether that comes in the support, like in the form of going to therapy, or maybe just asking your partner for more support emotionally, physically, whatever you need help with, right? Or asking a family member, a friend, whatever that looks like for you, getting a house cleaner, putting your kids in daycare, like doing whatever you need to do that's going to be more supportive for you and make life more sustainable. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think I'm someone who can be a little gun shy on that one sometimes, but that was a huge thing for me this year too, is recognizing when I'm struggling and realizing that, okay, what can I do to make this better? And I can't do this all by myself. Unfortunately, can't do it all by myself, because as independent as I felt, or as, oh, I don't need to ask for help. Like I don't know if it's a people pleasing thing, but I've always been someone who's just like so nervous to like, not nervous, but just like, I will just do it myself. Even if it's so inconvenient for me, I'm going to have to go out of my way, or if someone offers some, help with something, like I will literally turn it down for the sake of like not having to put anyone out to help me, even if it makes my life harder. And it literally got to the point this year where I was like, what am I doing? Because I was literally asking Chat GPT to do something for me, and I like asked it to revise it a little bit, and then I felt bad about that. Seriously. I'm like, why do I feel bad about asking? And like, this is when I know that this is an issue for me. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm not perfect at that still. It's still very much a work in progress, but I think it's a lesson I learned this year for sure, for sure, for sure. So I think another thing that I learned this year is what it looks like to actually anchor into your why. Like I said, I went through a lot this year. It was a really cool year because there were a lot of really big goals that myself and my little family have been working towards for a really long time that happened this year. So that was really, really cool, because it's like, of course, you love to see when your goals become a reality. But along with that came a lot of difficulties and just hardships that we went through this year, whether that was family passing or our living situation or anything in between. There was a lot. I'm not going to go into it all. But I've shared some of that on some previous episodes this year. So yeah, there's just been a lot going on, and I know all of us have hard things, so I'm not special in that sense, or, it's not any worse than, I'm like, oh, other people have it worse. So that, I shouldn't even say anything or like quote unquote complain, but we all have our things. We all have our hard things that affect our day to day. And that just was my reality, that we had a lot of really great things that happened, but we also had a lot of hard things that happened. And I think that I realized that life doesn't have to be perfect for you to be able to find success in your life and your business, or to find happiness in your life and your business. I think sometimes we feel like everything has to be perfect before, we can enjoy the success that we've found so far, or the progress that we've made so far, or like you have to hit your big goal before you can be happy with where your life is at, right? But the reality of it is, even when you do hit that big goal, life is probably still going to be hard. It's not just like some picture perfect walk off into the sunset ending. You're still going to have hard things happening. And that also, I feel like once you start working towards your goals, they kind of become your new normal. And I don't know. I think for me, some of them felt a little bit different than I thought they would. Not that I wasn't proud of them, or not that I wasn't excited about it, but like, was like, oh yeah, like I can do that. Like, I think I kind of made it out to be like this big unachievable thing previously, like in previous years, where it was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have this happen. I'm trying to think of an example I can give you on this. Like speaking at events or buying our house, or like it was just these things where it was like, it just seems like these big things that like happen to other people, right? And not you. At least that's how it felt for me, just with like my background and my childhood and my triggers and my traumas and all of my things. Is like, who am I to have something cool like that happen to, right? I made it out to be this big thing. And now that I've reached some of these milestones and some of these big goals, it's kind of like, oh yeah, like of course, that's who I am, right? Like, and that's something that I've worked hard for. So of course I'm going to get to go speak at that event, right? Like, and we've worked really hard for our house, and we've sacrificed a lot to get into our house. So of course we're going to be able to get it. And I don't know. There's just things like that where it's like, I think I made it into such this big deal of a thing where it wasn't something that could ever happen to me. And then when it did, it was like, oh yeah, that's my new normal, right? That's my new baseline. That's the baseline for my kids now, right? So yeah, kind of cool in that sense of like just growing as a person, and I guess growing in my mindset in that way too, because it's like, well, who am I to, do these big things? That only happens to other people. And then realizing that it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is or what your past is, or, what's happened to you in your life. You can always create your own story, and you can always reach your own goals and do whatever you want with your life. But it does take adjusting the mindset, and it does take going through some ups and downs, at least in my experience. But I am someone who's more self-critical. I've shared that quite a bit on the show, so I'm sure you've heard that before if you've listened to an episode. So I think sometimes I'm just someone who gets in my head more often than not. We'll move on from that one. But just what it looks like to really anchor into your why because of these hard things, and really sticking through like the difficulties, because when things get hard and it's like, maybe I should just quit. If you have this really strong why, that's what's going to keep you going and pushing through all the difficulties. Because it's like, okay, which is more important? Like reaching my goal, or, getting these things? This is why I'm doing it, right? For me, it's like my kids, like making a better life for herself. Like I have this flexibility to be with them. I don't want to work for anybody else. Like all of these different factors of like, this is my why. This is why I do this. I love supporting people. I love the outcome of, the results that we can get for clients, and, just being able to support people and make their life easier with getting their social media done for them, and, helping them grow their business. Like I have internal whys, external whys, and that's really what has kept me going this year more than anything. And I think my biggest why for myself has been my kids, and just pushing myself very hard for them, and, pushing through difficulties for them, whether those were business difficulties or just life difficulties too. Like, there's just been times this year where it's just like, what is this? What am I doing? it's just hard. Life is hard, business is hard, and it's just like I don't want to get like sound like too depressing or anything because I do want this to be like an uplifting and like empowering episode too, but like at the end of the day, there were still a few months where we had just some difficult personal family situations happening, and I literally didn't want to get out of bed. You guys know I'm a crier. I'm gonna try not to cry very much. But yeah, I just literally didn't want to get out of bed. It was just hard. I didn't want to do anything. I don't know that it was like a lack of motivation or like drive, but it just is like life felt so heavy. It was just like, I just want to lay in bed all day. I don't want to do anything. But what got me up and moving, well, first off, if you're a mom, you know that that's not really an option. So, when you've got three little kids who depend on you, that gets you up and moving in the morning, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be getting things done or sticking to your routine or, being present or anything like that. But I think what really pushed me to continue to run my business and keep things moving, keep things growing, keeping up with my kids, trying my best to be present with them and do all of the things. And I was coaching my son's soccer team at that time, and that was something I think was really helpful too. But at the end of the day, having a really strong why, especially in something as important to me as my kids, is what kept me going. You can have the choice to lay there and do nothing and to feel bad and sit in that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing sometimes to feel those things because you can't just stuff it down and shove it away. Got to feel your feelings and let them out and be able to move past that. But I think for myself, it was kind of like, well, I can sit here and feel shitty. But like, I don't, like I told my therapist this year, I don't like the way that feels. I just don't. And so I've really been trying to make decisions based on how does this make me feel? Does this make me feel good? Does this make me feel uplifted? Do I feel motivated? Do I feel productive? Do I feel present in the moment with my kids, with my family? Do I feel like I'm fulfilled or making a difference? Like, does this fuel me? Is it a vibe? I don't know. Is it? It just is like I was really trying to make decisions based on, okay, does this make me feel good or not? And even like dumb little things too, where it came down to like, okay, does scrolling through TikTok make me feel good or not? Does like, oh, I don't feel like shaving my legs today. This is such a dumb example, but it's just like I don't feel like doing it, no, but like this is something that makes me feel good about myself. Like that makes me feel better. Like I like the way that I feel after. So I'm going to do it. And so that's been a really big driving motivation too, is just like trying to make decisions based on that. And it didn't feel good to sit in sit in all of that hurt. And so not that I didn't struggle or didn't have my days, but that really did push me to do better and be better and to continue in therapy, feel the things, move through them, try and heal, do what I need to do to make, my previous therapist told me you've got to fight like hell for the life that you want to live, Erica. She said you've got to fight like hell. And so that's just what I say. That's what I remind myself of when I'm going through it like I was this year. You got to keep fighting. You got to keep trying. Sucks right now, but it can get better. And even in all those difficulties, this is another one of the lessons and things I wanted to share with you too that's on my list is finding gratitude and finding thanks and enjoyment out of the little things in life. Because even when you have those hard days where you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to do anything, life is hard, it feels painful, it feels heavy, there's a lot going on, you feel overwhelmed or you feel burnt out, like you can still find moments of gratitude and little things to be thankful for and little things to little glimmers of hope, little glimmers of enjoyment. And I think that's something that really saved me through a lot of things this year was just finding the little things, finding gratitude, finding thankfulness somehow. And I don't want to have that come off as like a toxic positivity type of thing. But I do just think that for me, it just was something that was helpful. It was just my experience with the difficulties I went through this year was that finding little things to be thankful for kept me in the frame of mind that I needed to be in to not just keep things moving at home and in my business, but to be present more and to be more mindful, be more thoughtful, and to continue growing as a person. Because how are you going to move through your healing process if you have no hope or thankfulness in your heart, right? You don't see yourself moving forward. You're just going to let yourself sit in the hurt. At least that's how I felt about it. You got to find the little things. And, within that too, I know everyone has different beliefs. I'm not here to push mine on anybody or anything like that. But one of the things that did help me was just having, I guess, finding stronger faith again in God. Like I've always had faith in Him. And I feel like the last few years has been kind of a struggle with that. And this last year really was a time that helped me to build stronger faith and stronger trust in Holy Father and God. And that's been something that's really helped me keep moving forward. And I'm thankful for that. And I know, like I said, I know everyone's got different beliefs, but I think having something of just like some kind of higher power, whether that is God or the universe or energies or whatever, there's all kinds of different beliefs and things, but I think having just something outside of myself that I believe in and that I have that trust with was beneficial for me. And I'm just like, I don't even know how this is going to work out. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And yeah, that pulled me through. It really did. It's felt good to have that really firm foundation of faith being continually built in my life over the last year. That's been a lesson for me this year too. It's just trusting in God. Let's see. What's next on my list? Systems. Just literally wrote what I wrote. Systems, dot, dot, dot. You need systems. I think as a lash business owner, I did have systems, but knowing what I know now, they could have been better. I think anything that you can automate in some type of system, you definitely should, whether that's your client booking system, your inventory, your bookkeeping, retail sales, anything like that. Anything that you can automate, find a way to do it because it's going to make your life so much easier. Scheduling out your social media posts, all of the things, because you have a lot to keep up on, especially with keeping up on things in your life and in your business and having those back-end systems. Such a lifesaver. Literally, I just don't think it's possible to do that. And there's a lot that you can do now, especially with like AI and different things that are coming out. There's so much that you can do with that and have it be a benefit for you in your business. So take advantage of that. Another thing I learned this year was, and I already knew these things like finding your community and networking and how huge that is. But I think I did a lot more of that this year, and it was just life-changing for me to have that community to lean on and to network and be able to grow my business that way as well. And like the power of like word of mouth and things. And it's just been incredible. And that's definitely something I'm going to lean on and focus on more going into 2025 is just continuing to build my network, continuing to build my community. And I think something that was beneficial for me was I went to more in-person events, even just ones in my area. I went to a few different ones just like an hour away from me this year. And that was just so much fun to get out and have a fun night and to be around other entrepreneurs, other business owners, and just enjoy and get to hear their stories and get to know them. And then, you never know what opportunities can come from that. So I have talked about that in an entire episode this year. But yeah, finding your community and networking, that's so huge. If you haven't done that, get out there and make that a goal for yourself next year to go to a few in-person events or even traveling for different events. I did a little bit more of that this year than I have previously. I still don't feel like it's my season of life to be at everything and go all over the place, but I have made it a priority to be at least 2 or 3 events, like industry events a year, not including the ones that are in my area. So yeah, it's been really good. It's been a really good thing. And, getting to meet like online friends in person, can't really beat that. That's always just such a blast. Find your network, find your community. Ooh, the last couple of ones I have on the list. So when to let go. And there's so many different situations that this could apply to, whether it's in your personal life or in your business life, for sure. And I think sometimes that can be like when to let go of. That's happened for a lot of business owners this year, Or that could be maybe when to let go a service you don't enjoy doing, when to let go of a client you don't enjoy taking for whatever reason. There's so many different things that this could apply to. But this, for me particularly, I mean, there were a few different instances that this was applicable for me this year. But I also wanted to touch on when to let go in, like, because in my personal life, unfortunately, I had to do some of this year. And it really came down to toxic relationships in my personal life with certain family members that had treated us poorly for years. Literally, like for myself, nearly my entire life. I don't want to get too far into it. I just want to pull some of the lesson from it. But at the end of the day, I really struggled growing up and still into adulthood and still sometimes feel this way. Struggle with feeling like good enough and like my self-worth and my self-confidence and my self-esteem and things like that. And because of that, there were certain situations and relationships in my life where I put up with a lot of things that I shouldn't have, and I didn't have boundaries or a voice to stand up for myself with. Like I just kind of was always expected to be the bigger person. And because of that, I just always tried to let things go and try to be the peacemaker and just try to give people the benefit of the doubt, which I don't think is always a bad thing to do, but I think when people continually show you who they are and they are not treating you with dignity, with respect, with like treating you that you have the value that you do, because you just are worthy and you're valuable just because you are. There's nothing external ever in any situation that could ever make that go up or down. I didn't always have that belief in myself. I didn't always feel that way, right? And so I would just felt like it doesn't matter. They can treat me. I don't know that I thought that they could just treat me however, but like I need you to know that because you are so worthy and because you are so valuable, you have to surround yourself with people who treat you like that. And when they don't treat you like that, you have to recognize that and decide what you're going to do with it. Because the thing that I learned this year is that people don't change. And I don't know this necessarily, I just learned it this year, but I finally applied this into my life this year, okay? People do not change until they are ready to. And then even then, they don't change until they want to. And you can't listen to their words. You look at their actions, okay? Because they can say one thing and then completely do something else with their actions. It doesn't line up. And you don't get to give them a benefit of the doubt every time. You look at their actions and you say, is this at my level? Are they treating me with the respect and the value and the love and support that I deserve? Because you have to have that standard for yourself. Because I realized I was letting these people in particular treat me this way for years. And I mean, I don't want to beat myself up over that because for a lot of that time I was just a kid. I didn't know any better. Because what I thought was normal, sadly. And so it's like, okay, I got to a point as a mom where I was like, well, they can treat me however they want to treat me, but, I'm not going to let them treat my kids like that. So because I'm like, my kids deserve the best. I want the world for them. I won't let anyone ever treat them that way, right? And then I had to realize that I have to think that same way about myself too, okay? And you have to think that same way about yourself too, because you deserve the best. You deserve the world, and you deserve to not have people treat you like that. And if you're feeling like this is relevant and you're thinking of someone in your head right now, maybe even more than one someone, that's something to consider. That was a hard lesson for me to learn, and when to let go of those relationships. And I'm not saying you have to go no contact or cut people out of your life. That is a very personal and big decision to make. And my first therapist always told me, like, you don't have to cut them out, but like you can have better boundaries with them. Your relationships can look different and that kind of thing. But unfortunately, the relationships with these particular family members of ours got to the point where I was like, no, I can't have. anything to do with them. And that was really hard. And I've really grieved that. But at the end of the day, like the peace that I have felt and that my family has felt has been so worth that. And which makes me sad because, they were family, but it's not worth the harassment and the toxicity and the chaos that it brought along with it. And at the end of the day, it never changed. So you can always hope for more because you see the potential in people and you see, oh, well, I know that they can do better and they can be better. And I can see the good in them. And I think they'll get better. I think they'll want to change and they'll heal and they'll change. But I'm sure there's situations where people do. But in my case, that wasn't the case. And I had to learn when to let go. I just hope you know your value and your worth. You're just valuable because you are. And you have to hold that standard for yourself that you deserve the world, you deserve the best, and you deserve people in your life and in your business that treat you that way. And if they aren't, it's time to reevaluate that to some capacity. Hopefully it's not completely having to cut them out, but you can have better boundaries. You can have better communication. You can change what that relationship looks like, the amount of time you spend with them, the amount of contact you have with them. There's a lot of different things that you can change, even if it's just simply speaking up for yourself for once. That was a huge part of my year. So I didn't feel like I could do like a wrap-up episode on lessons that I learned this year without touching on that. The next one is thinking bigger. I want you to think bigger next year, okay? I always think of it in the sense of like, I just need, I only need to get, what was it, like 30 clients, 40 clients, right? And, then I can break even and then I can make this much money and whatever else. When I was a lash artist, this was like my thoughts, right? And like, it's like, man, I could have been thinking so much bigger than that. And like, I'm not dogging on myself for it. And I'm proud of how far I've come and the success I achieved and the goals that I hit with that. But like, I just want you to take your goals for next year and kind of push yourself to think a little bit bigger too. Like widen your perspective on that because you have the potential and the capability to do so much in your life and you truly can do whatever you want and whatever you set your mind to when you have the right mindset and you are taking action accordingly to it. So I really want you to think bigger. I want you to push yourself going into next year, push yourself in 2025. Fight like hell for the kind of life that you want to live and push yourself to be the best kind of person that you can be, the best version of yourself. It is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. There are going to be some really ugly moments, I'm sure. Or I hope that that's not just me, I guess, because that's the experience that I've had. But, a lot of people aren't willing to look at their lives and look at the hard things and the things that they haven't healed from and I'm even just like the bad habits that they have and what's holding them back truly. And they aren't willing to look at those things. They're not willing to recognize that in their own lives and they're not willing to change and they're not willing to do the work. So I encourage you to do some self-reflection at the end of this year. Do a real legit audit on how things went in your life and in your business. And don't look at it with scrutiny on yourself. You're not putting yourself down here. You're not trying to be negative on yourself. I want you to go ahead and take off your little personal hat and put on your little CEO hat. Take the feelings out of it and look at it objectively. Okay? It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad business owner. It doesn't make you a bad lash artist or educator or podcaster or brand owner or whoever you are. Okay? It doesn't make you bad at all. It just means where can we improve? Where can we get better? Where can we push our boundaries? Where can we get outside of our comfort zone? Because that's truly where the growth happens. So I really want you to take a look at that, self-reflect and see what can we improve on and make better. And you can have fun with this too, right? Your client experience, man, you give your clients such a good experience. How can we continue to make this better? How can we make this bigger, bolder, funner, sexier? Like there's so many different things, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing or a hard thing, a negative thing. It can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hit these goals. How can I keep pushing myself? outside of my comfort zone to get there? How can I continually try to be the best version of myself to get there? Because you're going to have to shed these old habits. You're going to have to shed these bad habits. You're going to have to make new decisions, make hard changes, make hard decisions in your business and in your life to get there. Okay? Because the thoughts and the actions and the habits and the decisions that you have made so far in your life have gotten you to where you're at. So if you're not where you want to be yet, you've got to change some of those things to get there. Because that's a path you haven't gone down. You have to make different decisions to get to that point and have different thoughts and different actions and different habits to get to that point. And I don't want you to be something that's overwhelmed with this. It's just, it's a continual evolution. You're getting a little bit better every day, 1% better every day, right? You're pushing yourself to be a little bit better every day. And all of that little bit better, that 1% better every single day, it adds up. And before you know it, you're like, hell yeah, look how far I've gotten. Like, look how far I've come. And give yourself this big old pat on the back, okay? And it's not always going to be easy. You're going to have hard days. And I was like, I feel like I was really rolling with that this year. I'm like doing pretty good with it. And then there was like that few months or so where I didn't want to get out of bed. And I feel like I'm starting to get into my groove again, mainly because I've really anchored into my peace in my life and prioritized that. And it's given me more of the capacity and the brain space to really focus on continually doing and being better for myself and for my kids and for my business and for my team and for our clients and all of the things. So it's not always going to be an easy thing. And it's probably not always going to feel fun, but I just want you to know it doesn't have to be a negative thing to self-reflect and want to do better for yourself. And I also think a lesson I learned this year too is that it's okay to want better for yourself. That was something like, well, I don't deserve that, right? No, like it's okay to want more for yourself. It's okay to want more for your family. You can be thankful for where you're at and what you have while continually working for more. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I want you to know that like you are you and that is your power. Okay. That sounds cheesy. You probably hear that, but like at the end of the day, one of the things, there was like this little mini masterclass thing that I did with a coach a few years back. And she had played this recording that was talking about like the future version of yourself and how she is waiting for you. And she knows who she is, right? And so I just want to leave you with this, to remember who you are and stand in that. Just remember who you are because you have so much value and talent and skills and worth and potential and capability, and you can do so much with your life. As Ed Mallett would say, you were born to do great things with your life. And I hope that you will push your horizons in 2025. I hope that you will push yourself outside of your comfort zone and truly think bigger, go for more. Stop thinking so small, stop playing so small. And I hope that you know that I am always on your side and cheering you on while you do it and while you get there. You're not alone in this. And I love you. I hope you have just the best end of your 2024. You're listening to this in 2025. I hope you're having a kick-ass start to your year. I feel like I'm going to cry because it's crazy that we're at the end of 2024 and it's been such a wild year. But at the end of the day, there were so many good things that happened for our family this year too. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the community that we have this year. I'm so thankful I got to meet so many of you in person this year, whether that was at Elite Lash Convention, at LashCon, at any of the in-person events I went to here in Idaho. You guys are truly, truly the best. Or even just talking with you on Instagram, things like that. The best part of my life is the connections that I've been able to make. And I'm super thankful. And yeah, there's been a lot of good things too. I've talked about a lot of the hard, but at the end of the day, we were able to finally get into our home this year. And I thought that was such a big blessing. After living in our camper for a year and a half, craziness. Got to speak at events. My business grew. My our invoicing platform told me my business grew 400% this year compared to last year. And that's insane. There's been a lot of good things and a lot of hard things. And I think that life has a lot of duality, and you need to know that you can still be successful and still have good things happen to you, even when life feels hard and even when things are not perfect. Okay. you can still be successful. And I love you guys. I hope you have the best end of 2024, the best start to your 2025. This is our last episode for 2024. I will see you guys. I'll talk to you next year. No, really, I'll talk to you guys next week. Every Tuesday, make sure you're subscribed. We're going big with the podcast and continuing to grow it in 2025. So if you have any lash artists or beauty pro friends who you feel like this show could benefit from listening to Lash Rose Babes, would love for you to share it with them. We've got big goals for our growth next year, and I'm excited for it. I cannot wait. We're going to have so much fun with it, and there's a lot of big things coming. I can't wait to see everyone who's going to Nails and Lash Expo in April as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys again next week.